Yoriichi Tsugikuni was the strongest swordsman to ever live, holding the title for more than 500 years without anyone coming close to matching him, at least until the Taisho era, when the golden age of demon slayers began. After him, the first character to unlock sun breathing is none other than our dear main character, Tanjiro Kamado himself. But his life wasn't as glorified as Yoriichi's because, unlike him, Tanjiro had to fight deadly battles on his own and barely lived to tell the tale. But imagine if Tanjiro hadn't blindly fought all those battles on his own and instead had the knowledge of the future and a mentor who could guide him. And who could teach sun breathing better than its creator? So, in this video we're exploring an alternate take on the Demon Slayer universe, one where Tanjiro trains under Yoriichi for 999 years. Here's how that story could unfold. Tanjiro fell asleep on his bed at night. He was old now, near the age where he should be done with his life. But despite coming to the finale of his life, he wasn't satisfied. Instead, he was full of regret. He thought he was a loser, not a hero. If he were a hero, he should have been able to save everyone. But he couldn't. There was nothing he could do about it anymore, though. His body was old and weak, and the past was already gone. So he just fell asleep. But then, when he wakes up again, he suddenly doesn't feel so young and weak anymore. In fact, he looks like an adolescent youngster. He finds himself standing in the quiet embrace of the same mountains he once called home, except something feels wrong. The trees stand taller, the air heavier, and the silence is almost unnatural. As he takes a cautious step forward, every sense screams at him. This is not the same place where he slept and died as an old man. In this new timeline, Tanjiro carries something no one else in this world has, the memory of another life. A lifetime of battles, heartbreak, and victories replay in his mind as if they happened yesterday. He remembers the smell of burning charcoal, the sting of demon claws, the heat of the sun-breathing forms, and the bittersweet weight of the friends and family he lost. But this isn't simply a rebirth. Somehow, he's been cast back into the past on the day Nezuko turns into a demon. He still has the knowledge of the future and knows what will happen. He knows how everything will happen. He knows what lies ahead, how many of his peers will die early deaths. He realizes this is a second chance at his life, but it's also a responsibility. But then he questions his existence. What power could have transmigrated him back to the past? Nothing comes to his mind, but he doesn't waste time thinking. Instead, he runs through the snow to reach his home. After all, this was the day Nezuko turned into a demon, meaning this was also the day his entire family would have been killed. Maybe, just maybe, if he was fast enough, he could still save everyone. After running for a long time, Tanjiro finally comes back from selling charcoal to an unsettling quiet. The familiar warmth of home is gone, replaced by the metallic, suffocating scent of blood. Panic claws at his chest as he rushes inside, only to be met with an unthinkable sight. His family, lifeless. The scene hits him like a physical blow. His mind rings with a silent scream as he moves from one to the next, desperate for any sign of life. That's when he sees Nezuko. She's still warm. Hope surges in him, but it's shattered when he notices her eyes. No longer human, faintly glowing pink. Her fingers twitch, nails extending into sharp claws. His beloved sister is turning into a demon. Even with the second chance at life, he could not save his family anyway. But this is not the end. He can still ally with the Demon Slayer crops and help his sister. In an instant, he slings her over his back and bolts outside, but it's already too late. The transformation is complete, and Nezuko lunges at him. Tanjiro does everything he can. He begs her to remember him, pleads for her to stop, but nothing works. Right then, the water Hashira, Giyu Tomioka, arrives. Cold, composed, and with only one mission: slay demons. Giyu had heard Tanjiro's desperate run through the mountains, so he followed him to his home. As a Hashira, he moves in a blur of speed, his sword flashing as he aims to decapitate the demon attacking a human. But before he can finish the strike, Tanjiro throws himself in the way, recklessly charging at the Hashira in a last-ditch effort to protect his sister. He screams at him, trying to get Giyu to recognize him, but it's all in vain as the Giyu of the past doesn't know Tanjiro yet. Tanjiro tries to fight, but fails. Of course, it's hopeless. Giyu is a trained elite against a boy who just came back from the past. Even with Tanjiro's knowledge of the future, his body isn't strong enough to adapt to his skills. In a single, effortless motion, Giyu knocks Tanjiro down. Tanjiro cries, he sobs, thinking that in his second chance he might even lose his sister, the last family member he had. So he thinks, and then comes to a conclusion that only one person could have the power to bring him back in the past, and only he could save Nezuko's life, the mythical demon slayer who is the creator of sun breathing itself. So Tanjiro shouts his name at the top of his voice, Yoriichi! And as soon as he shouts the mythical name, the timeline shatters. As Tanjiro lies in the snow, consciousness slipping away, his emotions explode. Terror for Nezuko, fury at the slaughter, and an unshakable resolve to keep her safe. That boiling storm of feeling reaches a breaking point, and this time, there's a response. I'm here. A reverberating voice speaks. Suddenly, a blaze of light obscures his vision, almost like a flash grenade. The world around him dissolves into pure white. Nezuko, Giyu, the snow, everything vanishes. Tanjiro has been ripped out of reality and thrown into a 1,000-year training dimension. What does that mean? It means he can spend 1,000 years honing himself here, yet in the real world, no time will pass. When he returns, it'll be as if he never left. The moment Tanjiro arrives, the place hits him like a hammer. The gravity is crushing, 90 times stronger than Earth's. His bones groan. His muscles scream just to hold together under the immense pressure. Around him stretches an endless, empty white void. Overwhelmed by fear and frustration, he yells to be sent back, desperate to protect Nezuko. For 9 straight hours, he shouts until his voice gives out, and exhaustion finally drags him under. When he wakes, the panic has dulled, but he's still trapped. Every attempt to stand fails. Day after day passes, and he can't even get to his knees. It becomes clear that he doesn't need food or water to live in this dimension, just pure willpower. For 2 weeks, he's utterly alone, fighting just to stay upright. This reality is brutal. Every second is a battle against his own weight, but he perseveres because he knows he heard a voice answer his call when he said, Yoriichi. He believed the god of demon slayers and the creator of sun breathing was testing him. Finally, after a month of agony, his body starts to adapt. One day, he manages to stand for a moment before collapsing. Weeks later, he takes a few shaky steps before falling again. And then, out of nowhere, a man appears. Long hair, serious expression, and wearing the same Hanafuda earrings. It's the spirit of Yoriichi Tsugikuni himself. Looking down at Tanjiro, he says in a calm but commanding voice, better than expected. I thought it would take a year for you to take your first step. Tanjiro, however, doesn't feel honored. He's furious. In his mind, this is the man who trapped him here while Nezuko is in danger. Fueled by raw anger, the boy who could barely walk suddenly forces himself up, muscles tearing, and charges. 1 step, then 2, then 3. He takes 7 steps in total towards Yoriichi. Why didn't you just save us? Why put me through this torture? He asks in anger before falling down. The oppressive gravity and Yoriichi's overwhelming presence crush him, and he passes out mid-run. But Yoriichi is stunned. For someone to defy the limits of this place on sheer willpower, it's beyond anything he's ever seen. He planned to wait 2 years before training, but now he decides to begin immediately. While Tanjiro lies unconscious, Yoriichi leaves a note. Your sister is safe. Time is frozen for her too. Your first goal is to run here the way you did on Earth. He sets it beside the boy before vanishing. When Tanjiro wakes, he reads the message. Tears spill down his face, not from grief this time, but from pure relief. Nezuko is safe, and he now has a mission. The training begins, and with that, the 1,000-year grind officially starts.